Hey, it's Adrian from Academy, and in this video we're going to go through a general recap of some of the biggest features we've pushed through January 2026. This is not going to cover everything that we've released. There's lots of improvements and a lot of features we've added in this month, but it'll cover the key big features that we think are worth of covering in a grouped and contained video, specifically relating to payments, tax, and the checkout experience. We've been very focused on improving that throughout January, and we think they're going to love all these updates. So this video is going to be a little bit longer than usual, but I'm going to go through everything that we've released around this area of the system, and hopefully you'll be able to use this as a point of reference. And if you need to make any changes on your account to take advantage of these new features, you'll be able to use this as a guide as well. So let's get started. The key things that I want to get started with first are the boring bits, which are the tax calculations and manual payment methods. And then we'll go into the more exciting things around the redesigned checkout flows and all the features around the registration forms that we've added. So if I go out and zoom out a little bit, I'm going to go into settings. And the first place I'm going to get started is going to be payments. There's two big things to announce here. One, we've redesigned or rethought how the manual payment method should work, right? Previously, this was initially back in the day, we built it as a way to just, as a catch-all. If none of the options above work for you, you can just enable this as a anything goes. You can call it anything you want, maybe pay by bank transfer or something else. And then we'll allow it to be an option on the checkout page, and people will be able to choose that as a payment method and complete registration. What we've seen happen most times is people use this as an invoice option. So it's very much the same as the invoice option we have, but instead of issuing invoices through Academy, a lot of our customers want to be able to issue these invoices manually or externally through our Zero integration, for example. And they want these bookings to be treated as pretty much confirmed. Even if they are in the awaiting payment status, they want these bookings to be getting the confirmation emails, the registration confirmation emails, the reminder emails, and so on, and then the payment is handled completely externally. So this is how we've updated this manual payment method to work. I'll call it request, for example, an invoice, and then we'll see how it works on the other side once we go through the checkout flow. So remember this has been changed. There's guidance on how this works now. Read through that if you're going to use this payment method for reference. The other thing that we've added is quite huge if you are a finance nerd, but we've added additional options on how you can handle tax or VAT in the system. So we've updated the system to support automatic tax or VAT handling. So in different scenarios, when a customer goes through the checkout, depending on what type of customer they are, and depending on what type of course or service you're running, and depending on where the customer is and where you are and where the course is happening, these variables can determine what kind of tax you need to charge on checkout. Normally, this is a pain in the ass to figure out, and we have done the hard work to make it work for you. You currently can only do this if you're either in the UK or the Netherlands. This is your tax location for your business. But in the future, we plan to add in more locations. And keep in mind that we are not tax experts. This is just for reference. And hopefully it'll just streamline the process for you or your customers, but always double check, especially since it's a new feature and you know how it is with new updates. So keep an eye on that. I'll show you how that will work in a minute. But for now, I've set myself as my business is located in the Netherlands for tax purposes. But you can add, if you're on the enterprise accounts or Teams accounts, you can add in different tax profiles as well, and then select those on the course. This has been covered in a different update. So two things that we needed to cover here: manual payment method and automatic VAT handling. Now we can move on to the more exciting bits. And in this context, I want to focus on the updates that we've made to registration forms. Okay. So I'm going to go into one of these forms here that I have. And one thing that we've added in, I think it was late December, is the option to add in a new field of type organization. So you can actually ask during your checkout flow for the customer to enter their company name, and we will automatically look up the company as they're typing from your organization's database and allow them to select that. And depending on what information they already have on the company record, maybe the billing address or the billing email, we'll autofill it through the checkout. We've made a few extra improvements to the organization area. So you can prompt them to specify whether they are buying as an individual or as a business. And we'll show you how that looks like on the checkout flow in a minute. But it gives you a more explicit question at the start of the flow. Are you buying this for yourself as an individual, or are you buying this for work? And that kind of ties in quite well with automatic VAT calculations, because it determines how that gets calculated there. And of course, you have the settings from before to automatically link, if they're already in your system, a link to a company, or to link by domain. All these options are still there, and you can play with those settings depending on what your needs are. Now, I'll leave this as is and go to the next option here, to the contact fields. We've made quite a few changes here. First, we've added the option at the point when you create or edit your fields to choose whether you want this information to be stored on the contact level or to be kept on the booking or registration level. So a lot of times, if it's information that is static, doesn't change that much, maybe it's date of birth or home address, you want to save it on the contact level. So if the people registering, going through it multiple times, it'll be automatically pre-populated based on their past booking. However, for some details, maybe parking requirements or travel requirements or certification numbers, they might need to be different on a per booking basis. So you don't want to save them at the top level. Now you can change that. So you can click on any field and choose whether this information should be saved on the contact or not. Any field that you mark as enrollment only, essentially, will not show on the contact level at all. It'll only show when you look at a contact within a booking, and you'll be able to set this information, and it'll be different on every booking. It'll not override, it'll not change. So that's one change that we've made. The other one is in this option here, in this little star. Previously, if you clicked on it, it would mark a field as required, and you can still do that. So if I click on this, I'll see that I can mark this as required or not. But we've expanded it quite a lot. So if I add in a new option here, let's add in, let's say, the dog name as a field. I know I have it. Okay, if I click on it, I can see that I can mark it as required or not, but I can also see a new option to hide if the primary contact is not attending. So a lot of times when someone goes through the registration flow, you could already set up a dedicated form for the person making the booking, placing the order, and a dedicated form for the guest. But a lot of times you would have fields on the primary booking form that were only relevant if the person booking says that they're attending as well. And if they're not attending, then you don't want to ask. Maybe you need to ask for their dietary preference or for their driver's license number or certification number, but you only need that if they're going to be attending the course. If they're booking for someone else, you don't want to capture that information. So now you can tick this and it will hide it if the person booking is not attending the course. You'll see a little icon here to signify that this information will not be captured. So if I'm going through the checkout, I'm booking someone else, I'm not going to be attending myself, we're not going to capture the date of birth, we're not going to capture dietary preference, and we're not going to capture the dog name on this particular field, right? So there you go, save. Now, another thing we've added is more options around form validation or form field validation. So sometimes maybe you're capturing their certificate number or driver's license number or something else, and the data they enter is not quite in the right format that you need. So this now allows you to control it a lot more granularly. This will be different depending on what field you're looking at. So for date fields, for example, it'll give me a date range to select so that you can maybe set the minimum date is in 1900. So if you're asking for the date of birth and they're typing something random, you know that they're getting it wrong and you can prompt them. So for number fields, you can give them a minimum and a maximum. But for text fields, we went completely nuts here and we gave you lots of options, right? So you completely define this yourself to match your own needs. It supports a common technology called regular expressions that's used for form validations, and it's super powerful. You don't need to be a tech wizard to understand how it works. Just understand that you can define specific patterns based on this gibberish, right? So you can say, I want this to be formatted as a UK postcode, or I want to set a maximum number of characters to be 50, or I want to not allow them to type in special characters, or maybe I want it to start with 3 letters and capital and then something else, right? Now, since this is the dog name field, what I want is to ask maybe ChatGPT to give me some regex to capitalize the first letter to make sure that the entry that they put in has a capital letter for the first letter in the word, and then everything else lowercase. I can go ask ChatGPT to give me the regex for that. I'll paste that in, and there's a way to test this as well to double check that it's going to be working just fine. So if I put in some gibberish and then maybe some dashes, test, you could see that it's failing because the regular expression here forbids all special characters, right? If I put in for a UK postcode and if I type in something that doesn't look like a postcode, test, it fails. If I type in our postcode from here, still fails. If I make it uppercase, test, pass. So you could see how these regular expressions work. Just go into ChatGPT, ask for one that matches your needs, paste that in here, test, and make sure you're happy with it. And once you're done, you can save it. I'm going to clear it for now. There's also an option here to provide an additional error message. So if they type something and doesn't match your format, you could say, hey, go back and make sure you type it in this format, and it'll be displayed at the point when they go through the checkout. So these are the settings that are kind of important to highlight here. I'm going to save this form, and I already set up a course to use this form. So we're going to use that. I'm going to go, and actually before I go to that, I'll go into settings and show that under the settings options, under payments, I want to make sure that we use the tax profile that's based in Netherlands. And here you could also, related to tax, choose what type of service this is. Tax can be different depending on whether the product is an in-person training session, online training session, e-learning, and so on. We'll try and automatically assign it based on what type of course it is, but you can always come back and change it, and it will determine how we calculate tax on checkout. So this is still recent. We've added the ability to choose what Stripe account to use or what Xero account to use on a per course basis, and that might be useful for larger course providers as well. Let me go in and actually go through the flow as a customer to show you all the changes we've made to the checkout flow. Now, I might actually just log out and go through this as a brand new customer. So if I go through and book, let me zoom in. So we've completely redesigned most of this flow. Now when I go through and click next, the first step used to be a big screen saying sign up now or create an account. It was quite abrupt and scary. Now we've tried to make it as seamless as possible. There's a few scenarios. People click to log in with Google or Facebook, and that's the one-click action. But let's say if I'm a customer that has a password, I'll just have the same experience kind of as before. It says welcome back, and then it asks me to enter my password. If I don't have a password, the screen will be enter your code that we just emailed you. But you'll notice here we try to make it a bit softer, so we don't just go sign up now. We actually say, hey, how should we contact you? And then underneath, we say that we'll send you a confirmation here, but you can choose to register yourself or others in the next step. This is determined on the course, and if you have this option enabled on your course, it will show this text, just to guide people so they know that they're, okay, I'm going to enter my details here, and then in the next step, I'll be able to choose the actual participants on the course if I need to enroll someone else. But the biggest improvement that we made is how we handle new contacts or new customers coming through the flow. So if I'm just a brand new customer, never interacted with this company before, and go through and enter my email, previously at this step, we used to prompt them to create an account. We'd say enter your name, email, phone number, create a password, and only then take them to this page. We've changed that now to cut that step completely, and we've moved the prompt to create a password at the very end. So this is a lot more user-friendly, a lot more seamless, and you'll see that the registration form itself has been changed and made a lot more clean and user-friendly as well. So it asks me now, will I be attending this course? If yes, then you could see that it's asking me for my date of birth, dietary preference, doc name. If I say no, I'm just booking for others, it will now hide those details, like the dietary preference, that's not needed, and instead show me the guest registration form with all the details in here. Okay? So, yes, I'm attending. This is the prompt whether I'm registering this as myself or as a business. If I choose a business, I can type, and as I type, it'll search and find the businesses or organizations in this particular account and automatically allow me to choose one of them. I'll choose my details. And that's it. I'm happy. Now, in the payment step, we have completely updated this so that the billing section is dedicated and has a dedicated area at the top. Previously, this was nested within the invoice option, but a lot of times we need billing details for other types of customers as well. You'll see that it automatically pre-filled it based on the record that was the information that was available on the business or organization record already. So the name is here. The billing information was captured from the billing from the organization as well, VAT number and so on. Everything was pre-filled. This is now stricter as well, so the address needs to be fully filled out, but we'll automatically fill it out if we have this information on the record. Now, as I go a bit lower, this is the manual payment option that we've labeled as request an invoice. And now when I can click confirm, and this will place the booking. So unlike the invoice option, which triggers an email requesting a payment with an invoice attached, the manual payment method will treat this booking as if it's been paid. So it will send the confirmation email straight away. It will not prompt me to make a payment. It will hide all references to Academy invoices or anything like that. And it's up to you to handle the invoicing the way you want. You can go and manually issue an invoice through your accounting system, or you could use the Xero integration to automatically issue the invoice out of Xero, and it's completely handled outside of Academy. But the integration with Xero, for example, allows you to automatically mark the booking as paid when you mark it as paid in Xero. Okay, so although the payment status for this booking will be awaiting payment in Academy, we will treat this as a valid booking, and they'll have full access to the booking, and they'll get the reminders and so on, just like before. Now, you'll see that at the very end, on the confirmation screen, I now get a prompt to create a password. This was moved from being in step 3 before they made the payment to the very end. They can add a password or they can leave it as it is, and then next time they go through the checkout flow, normally we keep them logged in for 30 days, but if they come and do after like on day 32, if they come again, we'll send them a one-time login code as usual. So all of these changes have been made to make the process a lot more user-friendly, to reduce errors, to reduce mistakes, to make it as beautiful and as clean as possible for everyone involved. We hope you'll enjoy all these updates. There's a lot more to come in this area. Now, actually, wait a second. I forgot to mention VAT calculation. Let me go through a second time. And I'm going to choose that I'm going to book this one. I'm booking as a business. Let me show you something pretty cool. So here, because I'm saying that I'm in the United Kingdom, this is not actually charging me VAT. If I say that I'm in the Netherlands, this is charging me VAT. Japan. So you could see, because this, I don't want to get into the VAT rules, but the point is that now the system can automatically calculate whether VAT should be charged or not, depending on where the customer is, what type of course it is, and a bunch of other variables. And it should hopefully streamline your accounting processes a lot more as well. If you have questions or requests or feedback, as always, message. We're always happy to hear from you. There's lots more to come in the coming months. We're super excited for what we're planning. So if you have questions or requests, now is the time to ask. Thank you so much. Take care.